Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to finish up the last part of our hypothesis testing section. We had gone through and we did 3 problems. We did the whole process of whether or not we were rejecting or failing to reject the null hypothesis. Now we're just going to tie in that last piece where we interpret the decision in the context of the original claim. So we're going to be using this little matrix to help us out with the interpretations today. So if our claim, so what the problem comes up with, if the claim is the null hypothesis and we end up rejecting HO, the null hypothesis, then we state that there is enough evidence to reject the claim. And we have to add phrases to make sure it's in terms of the question. If the claim is the alternative hypothesis and we reject the null, there is enough evidence to support the claim. If the claim is the null hypothesis and we fail to reject the null hypothesis, there is not enough evidence to reject the claim. And if the claim is the alternative hypothesis and we fail to reject the null hypothesis, then there is not enough evidence to support the claim. So this sounds pretty confusing, but just make sure you use the matrix, figure out what your claim was and whether you're rejecting or failing to reject the null hypothesis, and then just find the appropriate box, and that's going to be how you interpret your answer. So right now you guys need to get those notes that we did, I believe it was last Thursday, either Wednesday or Thursday, the 3 pages on hypothesis testing for the mean. There were 3 example problems, and we went through steps 1 through 8 and skipped 9. It's going to look something like this. Okay. So in this first problem, it was about the mean pit stop time, and the claim was that the mean time at a pit stop is less than 13 seconds. Okay, so we had our claim up here. We ended up rejecting the null hypothesis after we finished our process of going through the hypothesis testing. So in this case, our claim is the alternative hypothesis. And we rejected the null hypothesis. So we're going to find that in the chart over here. Claim is HA, reject HO. So we're going to state that there is enough evidence to support the claim, but we need to write it in terms of the problem. So we're going to write there is enough evidence to support the claim that the mean pit stop time for this pit crew is less than 13 seconds. Okay, so all we did was add kind of the context of the problem. So it was the pit crew claiming that its mean pit stop time is less than 13 seconds. So we just took the piece of the chart and we added a little flair to it so we can say, oh, this is what the problem was about, this is what they claimed, and this is whether it was true, rejected, supported, whatever it may be. Okay? All right, the next problem discussed the mean speed of automobiles traveling down a certain street. And the neighbors claimed that the mean speed of these cars was greater than the 35 mile per hour speed limit. We ended up going through the process and rejecting the null hypothesis. So our claim was the alternative hypothesis because it's greater than 35. And we rejected the null hypothesis. So claim HA, reject H sub O. There we go. Same thing, we just need to put our little twist on it. So there is enough evidence to support the claim. There is enough evidence to support the claim that the mean speed of cars on a certain street is greater than the 35 mile per hour speed limit. Okay? And again, that's what they had claimed up here. Homeowners claim that the mean speed of automobiles traveling on their street is greater than the speed limit of 35 miles per hour. So again, we just use the chart, put a little twist on it to make sure it fits the problem, and that's how we interpret. All right, last one. Talked about the mean cost of bariatric weight loss surgery, and the claim was that the mean cost of the surgery was equal to $21,500. We failed to reject the null hypothesis. So in this case, our claim was the null hypothesis because it was a statement of equality, and we failed to reject the null hypothesis. So we're looking here on this column, null hypothesis, claim is null hypothesis, and we, failed to reject. So this is how we're wording our interpretation. There is not enough evidence to reject the claim. So we're not necessarily supporting it, but there's not enough evidence to reject the claim that the mean cost of bariatric surgery is $21,500. Okay, so we're not supporting it, but we're not rejecting it. Okay, so we're not saying that it's right, but we don't have enough information to say that it's wrong. Okay. All right, so this is what you guys are going to be working on today. You're going to have a few practice problems. You're going to go through the entire 9-step process, including the interpretation, and that's what you're going to be submitting for your work today. If you guys have any questions, you could just post a private comment, or you could just shoot me an email and let me know. Don't forget, Math Lab is due tomorrow as well.